Hello! Okay, so are you starting on a new project? Are you unsure about where you want to go with it? Are you thinking, okay, how do I get started? Well, today we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be talking about the feeling of burning out on something. Two different areas. One typically at the beginning, and the other one not so great afterwards. Alright, so let us get started. So you've decided that you want to start out on a project. You may have picked it out on a whim. You may have picked it because someone suggested it to you, or you saw it on television or the internet. Who watches TV anymore? Am I right? Yeah. Alright. But yes, so you decided to start out on a project and you don't know where to really begin on a project. You're kind of nervous a little bit. You kind of think like, oh, there are people that are they have a lot more expertise. So you're worried. And then you decide not to do it. I feel like that's silly. So I recently have decided to look back in my past of things that have inspired me or things that have made it where I'm interested in various activities and hobbies and things. And one, it's kind of funny, and you probably could tell just by my general nature, one specific thing that I liked as a kid was video games, specifically 2D platformer games. So I decided recently to just start figuring out how to make one. Now, I may, at times, bite off more than I can chew, but I was gonna do this, and I am doing it. I just started a little bit ago. I'm still new to it, still at first had the nerves like, oh man, there's so many other people better, but then I was like, nope. So what I did, and what I recommend for all future projects, is do your research, or get lucky and pick something that ends out being fine, but typically do your research. For my example, with making a 2D game, there are so many different avenues that you could go about it. You could learn complex language, and I already took classes on that, but I forgot that stuff way ago. So I decided to try a program called Unity. I heard a lot about it. It kind of makes things a little bit more seamless, and when you do coding, it seems less intimidating. So do research on how you are going to do the thing you're going to do. If you need a program, if you're getting into photography, you don't need to get the most expensive camera. You don't need to get the most expensive film editing program. You get something and you try it. And you improve your skills upon it. And then when you want to challenge yourself, or if you start seeing some degrees of success through it, then you can replace that program with something new. And you keep building upon it. And I feel like that cuts away a lot of the pressure. A lot of the, I'm too nervous to do it. You just do it. You just try. If you reach any kind of obstacles, you find ways to kind of make it easier on yourself. And you just get the stuff out there. You get the content, the things that inspire you. You can even apply this to like starting up an exercise program. You can do your own. You can find one that is kind of like a good base and you just build upon it. So that's what I recommend when starting up a new project. Now, how to tackle the whole burning out on something. I feel like when I was younger, I used to think that selling out on something happens very easily whenever you want to think of taking your projects and finding a way to make some money off of them. But as I've gotten older, I realized that doesn't necessarily mean that you're selling out. So remember that doing something that you love and something that inspires you or motivates you, or you just do the actions of it, that nifty triangle of inspiration, motivation, and action that we've talked about in a previous episode that you should go watch. So yes, doing something and trying to find a way to make money off of it, I don't think means that you are a sellout. And I feel that growing up, I used to believe that a lot more than I do now. What makes you a sellout is something where it deals with your perspective. I feel like it's your motivations or your reasons behind like taking something that you care about and in a way just chucking it away. I think it's subjective. I think it's based on emotion and drive and that kind of things. Those things are what can make you a sellout. And then lastly, the idea of burning out on something. We talked about starting a project and just trying to get your feet wet. We talked about, is it selling out if you're trying to think of how to make money? And then finally, burning out on something. So I feel like burning out is very common for a lot of people. It's a problem that I think is everywhere, and it's multi-layered, and it deals with a lot of different kinds of things. If you're experiencing burnout, I think it can be when you're doing something and you feel like what you get based on what you put forward, they don't balance out. If that happens, there are solutions. And they're not just as radical as like, oh, you gotta get rid of the job. I think what you could do is you could find ways to de-stress. You can find ways to try and see what you're doing in a different kind of way. If it is reaching the point where it's impeding on like your happiness to an extent where like it just feels like a grind, then maybe it's time for you to choose a different path. And being content, I feel like there are subtleties of being burned out, like being content. When you're doing something and you just don't see it as a problem, but you're obviously having different kinds of emotions and things that are not really proactive. Maybe your family's noticing that you're lazier or you're not super motivated to do other things. It's just like work and sleep, and you don't want to take on different responsibilities or activities and things like that. So I think being burned out, that's one of those things where it's multi-layered, and it probably would be, if we really wanted to discuss it, it would be longer than this video. But I think there are some proactive, healthy tips, like just trying to reorient where you are and what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and working towards that. And so all of that, I think if you want to start a project, go ahead. And if you want to find a way to try and market your project or try and make money off of it, I think that's fine. And if you start experiencing burning out, if you start experiencing burning out, then see how intense that burnout is first, and see if it's because of feeling dissatisfied or if you're not getting enough sleep. See where it is in your life, and then see if you can address it that way. And if it is something bigger, like the career or project choice that you have, then maybe it is time for something that is a little bit bigger, and that kind of change can be scary, but talking through it can help. And that's one of many of the reasons why we are here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Leave your comments down below if you're experiencing burnout, or if you are interested in a new project and you don't know where to start. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.